crazy time. I feel out of practice doing this, but it's been nice to give myself the permission not to feel like I need to. Sort of a lot has happened and sort of nothing at all. There have been, just in my life situation, some changes in terms of the financial situation, and there's been some stress and frustration around that, certainly, but also a great deal of acceptance that has resulted from that, and some things that have resolved themselves, as ultimately everything does. I witness over and over again how something arises and there is dismay and panic and upset and no clear answer, and then there is just acceptance of this is what's happening right now, and then in some form or fashion, it kind of takes care of itself. It just resolves. Maybe not in entirety, but for the most part. And it is really interesting to see that happen over and over. But, a phrase that I guess I wanted to share that has helped me. I really just want to, excuse me, share the things that have felt good in the past week or two. There's been a deeper kind of acceptance, and it is a sort of settling in feeling. It's not this, big emotional kind of wave of peace. It's subtle. It's almost not a feeling at all, except maybe the feeling of exhalation and the feeling of sitting down and the feeling of just being here. And, certainly not shutting out grief and frustration and hurt when something happens and those feelings arise, allowing them to be here, but really, really trying to stay with them, not letting them move into the mind space, noticing that there's a tendency for this to happen. There's a compulsive element to this, that when grief arrives, when anything happens that strikes grief, that hurts, there's the tendency for that energy to move from the feeling of it into the thinking about it, and either it gets projected everywhere, because now it's up here and this is like a projective place. Now I'm imagining it everywhere and I'm seeing it everywhere, and I'm just angry and hurt by everything because I've moved this pain upwards and I'm projecting it everywhere, and it's all I'm seeing. Or I am trying not to see it at all, and so the projection is one of sort of false peace, the rainbows and unicorns, the happy face sticker plastered over everything, and it's like I don't see any of this at all. So neither one of those is really helpful or sustainable. Neither one of those is really honoring and experiencing the feeling. In honoring and experiencing the hurt and allowing it to just be there, and like pushing it down, moving it down the body, not to get rid of it, but to like ground it, to be really deeply in the sensation itself, seems to open things up. And then, you're not projecting the sensation, you're really letting it in. And I've noticed when I do that very often, is when I'm then able to also receive the dream, to receive the feeling of what is desired, kind of right on the heels of this. And it does feel like a reception. It doesn't feel like I'm trying to, again, if I try to do that myself, if I try to convert this sensation into what is desired, it doesn't really work. It's trying too hard. It's too much effort. I am still moving things up here, and I'm moving away from the feeling, and it's like I'm trying to push it through. You know, I'm like, yeah, okay, you know, come on in, but what is behind you? Like, just keep going, keep walking, essentially. Like, yeah, you're here, just keep walking. I'm not allowing the sensation to really be here and just be here. And so one of the first things that sort of the analogy of this, or the way that it felt, was like letting the door close behind it. To let what is be here, to let grief be here, to let whatever it is be here, means letting the door close behind it. Letting it be the thing that is here, and not either trying to push it out, right? Push it back through the door, nor treating it like this sort of revolving door where let's just get on to the next thing, because I am really uncomfortable sitting alone with this. I really don't want to be alone with this. I really want something else to kind of temper and mitigate and diminish the intensity of this sensation on its own, and just me with it. So I'm trying to get to the other side. I'm trying to get to what's underneath. Where's the silver lining? Where's the dream? Where's the thing on the other side of this? It's not acceptance, and it's exhausting. And just letting the thing be here, letting the fear, the anxiety, the not knowing, the hurting, the frustration and anger, all of it, whatever, letting it arrive and letting the door close behind it. That imagery has been really helpful to me in feeling into what it is to just sit with something, to just let it be here. And in just letting what's here be here, I have recognized also that there is an awareness that it is not the last thing that will arrive. This is not the last thing that happens. This is not the last thing to happen. And I really only came to that sensation and recognition in allowing pain to be the thing that is happening fully right now. To let the door close behind it. I don't need to keep that door open. I don't need to be peeking around it. In fact, in order for the door to open, it has to be closed. This is a weird thing that I don't know, it just sort of received the imagery of. It might seem counterintuitive, it might seem, certainly to the mind, that like being open means keeping this sort of door open, but you're keeping it unlocked, essentially, you know, it's unlocked. And what comes through is never the last thing to come through. So you don't need to keep it open. It's already unlocked. It's enough for it to be unlocked. And in fact, it needs to close. There needs to be this sort of kind of, not like airlock, but just this delineation of this is what's here now. This is what's in the room with you. It's just you and this. This is the totality of right now. This is what's present. Let it be fully here. Be fully with this. Just you and it. Not looking over its shoulder for the next one to come through. Not going, you're really not not who I wanted to see. Is there anybody else I can talk to here? Like, I really don't want to be having a conversation with you. Accepting that this is the only thing right now. This is your guest. This is your guest right now. It won't be the last one, but this is the one right now. And so there's a sense of settling, of like sitting down face to face with what is, with pain, with fear, with anxiety, with unknown, with rage. Sitting down face to face with the raw sensation and sort of being in the same nakedness with it, where again, there's nothing between us. There's nothing else to distract. But it's not a closed offness, and this is where, again, it doesn't exactly make sense to the mind, because this really isn't something that the mind can do. It's just what happens and then what is observed when it's allowed. It's interesting to me to recognize how when the mind is trying to accept something, that it feels very closed. It feels like a dead end. It feels like a hallway that doesn't lead anywhere. But when I, again, move the energy out of the mental space and down and try to just like root the feeling here, there is a sort of acceptance that is not something that I'm doing. There's an acceptance that seems to arise in that process. Again, this sense of like settling in, but it's not a resignation like this is the last thing ever. There's a clear awareness that this is not the last thing. This is not the last thing that happens. This is not the last thing that comes through that door. But it is the thing that has come through right now. It is what is happening now. And trying to get around that is not only unnecessary, it is pointless. But it is really unnecessary. I don't have to push this through. I don't have to push past it. It will move through. Just be present with it. And so then another phrase that has kind of come to me, this one in like the early hours of the morning, is love the version that is right now. Just love this version. And it is really expanding the definition of love. It's not like it's hard to even put words to. It just begins as a deep acceptance. It's a deep acknowledgement and appreciation that this exists, that this is here, that this is sharing presence and space and experience with me. So it's really not the adding of anything at all. It is really letting this be here, first and foremost. Recognizing that it is here. And in the complete acceptance of that, sort of meeting it eye to eye, something else arises. Other things sort of well up. It's interesting to observe. There is maybe first just a sort of quiet in the acceptance, and then a sort of curiosity, like the vision clearing and going, oh, there is someone else here. And without painting any sort of story over the top of this visitor, whoever it is becomes kind of curious. And then that can lead into this sort of wide-eyed wonder. And very often for me, I notice that there is a welling up of emotion, but it's not a very distinct emotion. There are tears. I guess you could call it appreciation. But it is distinct from, like, I don't know, all of the apparently much more surface level sensations that one is accustomed to. Although I really haven't felt a lot of those very much in the past several months, many months. Those seem to have kind of faded to a great degree. The surface level experiences, the familiar experiences of everything, the surface level love, appreciation, gratitude, there's been a lot more kind of visitation by the darker elements, fear and anger, a lot of anger, and certainly hurt, just in general, sadness, grief, despair, hopelessness, even a lot of those, they don't feel as honest anymore. They don't feel as genuine. I mean, grief is still grief. Anger is still anger, but yeah, I don't know. It seems that emotional experiences are changing. And I'm not moved the way that I used to be, and yet when I do feel moved, it is profound. And unexpected. There's been a lot of exhaustion. Certainly the sense of burnout is not just mine, but also a deeper acceptance and a greater sense of the home that is being called and that is being returned to. And a greater faith in that, a greater focus on that, not in a way that is trying to escape, in the acceptance of right now. There is also the acceptance of homecoming, and in the acceptance of imminent homecoming, there's the acceptance of right now. They feel less and less at odds. And there was something that I was having a conversation with my wife about this, and saying I have so often felt torn between my desire for softness and my acceptance of hardness. Hardness being a challenge right now, and like a lot of the masculine energy right now, and this penetrative, oppressive, dominating way of being that we've all been inhabiting as humans. So, I'm like always trying to balance the desire for other than this, but the acceptance of this. I want to honor the desire, but I don't want to be in resistance against what is. And she very astutely said, what if it's not one or the other? I think it's about the two of these things coexisting in a way that is not contrary. And I said, of course, obvious. Yes, of course, it's breaking free from the binary. It's realizing this perspective that doesn't paint the desire for other than what is as opposite or in resistance to the acceptance of what is. Rather, it's how can my desire for softness support my acceptance of hardness, of challenge? How can my desire for ease support my acceptance of challenge? And how can my acceptance of challenge support my desire for ease? How can I let these things be a part of the same cycling, the same energy, not in conflict, not in resistance, in opposition to one another, not opposite sides of a spectrum that I'm trying to hold this middle ground and I'm feeling pulled in this endless tug of war? How do I let them support each other so they coexist harmoniously? I'm not trying to fend one off all the time. And so that, I think that is the shift in perspective that we are being guided towards. The breaking free from binary. It's not just either or. It's not just this or that. The third option is not only that which hasn't yet been imagined, it's that which cohesively includes the entirety of the spectrum. So it's not even really a spectrum anymore, because it's been taken off the line, right? It's not linear. It's everything has been freed from the restriction to linear experience, where it's one at a time and it's this or that. And so there aren't these discrete states. It's not even alive or dead. It's something other than that is kind of both or neither, or, you know, it's this cloud, this kind of mist of experience that includes everything, and where everything can be tasted at once and sort of overlaid. And so our definitions of such things probably don't really even apply here, because we've defined alive and dead as opposites. You know, that's sort of how we define them at all. And if they're not opposites, maybe we need other words for this. Maybe we wouldn't even call this alive and dead. Maybe this is something else. This is not even a third state exactly, as sort of the ability to freely move between and interact with states and let them be partial states. You know, a little bit this and a little bit that, and maybe they stop really even appearing as states at all, because they're so temporal and they're so surface level, and they have so little deeper meaning. They don't indicate or implicate anything more deeply, you know? So for me to wear death is just like another, it's just a piece of jewelry. It's the costume. It's the version of experience. But that which is experiencing is very much present and active and what we would call alive, in other words, vibrantly here. And so the version of being that is death, perhaps non-physical, or whatever you would maybe call it, that is just a version. That which is experiencing the version and portraying this version is very much present, very much vibrantly well and active and engaged and conscious and participating. And, you know, so in loving the version that's here, you're loving that which is experiencing the version, that which is really beyond the version. Maybe it's the original. I don't know. That's something I've sort of toyed with, is the notion that maybe because it takes an original for there to be a version, right? If there's just one, that's it. There's just this. There's not another version of it. The version itself refers back to the original, right? The OG, the first, the prime. I don't know. This is, again, just sort of something I've toyed with, of like, that which is experiencing the versions of itself is the original, is the prime, is that which remains unchanged ultimately. And when the versions are not portrayed, it is just originally itself. And even as they're portrayed, it's still originally itself. And to love the version is to love that which is kind of beneath it, behind it, beyond it. Again, this is sort of a mental flattening of it is very likely not explainable and definable in the language that we currently have. So I want to recognize that also. It maybe is more accurate to say it is simply that which is beyond version. It is simply that which is beyond state. It is the stateless experiencing state, right? But the notion of state itself is sort of a playful illusion, because that which is experiencing it is stateless. Anyway, we've gotten too into the nitty-gritty. That's unimportant, and I need to go inside. But yeah, I just wanted to share those things, because there feels like, while there has been an increasing of exhaustion and grief and rage, there's also this incredible invitation to a deep acceptance that is not a dishonoring of desire, but allowing acceptance to support desire, and allowing desire to support acceptance. And yeah, letting what is here close the door behind it, experiencing the reality that this is not the last thing that happens. This is an infinite journey of experience. So it is safe to be fully present with what's here. It's safe to do that. Letting things that appear contradictory support one another. Loving the version that is right now. Not what the mind thinks is supposed to be right now. And so, importantly, loving and accepting what is right now, which is really just this deep acknowledgement and appreciation of its existence, importantly includes everything the mind has to say about it. So loving the version that is, loving what is right now, not what the mind thinks should be right now, includes loving what the mind thinks, accepting what the mind thinks. That's a part of it. Seeing and accepting that those stories are present, that the thoughts are present, that whatever emotional sensations arise from that are present. Letting all of that simply be here. And the last part that I do want to share is, and that has helped me, and this was from somebody else's video, allowing energy to be received, allowing, whether you want to call it source energy or divine light or just light from beyond, support, whatever it is, like the natural, nourishing, connective energy that is sent to us, allowing that to be received and allowing that at the energetic level, bypassing the brain, not making receiving a mental activity. It's not something the brain is designed to do, but just directly at the level of energy saying, welcome, I receive the energy now. I give it permission. I receive the energy that is here to support me. And to really just, again, at this direct energetic level, intend to receive it, and that's it. And I have noticed that that's made a difference. It's very subtle. It's mostly a physical sensation. It's a little bit of a tickle, maybe, but it doesn't need to be anything at all. It doesn't need to feel like anything at all. What I notice is that sometimes while I'm doing that, sometimes a short while after that, there's just a sense of support. There's a sense of like being in a room with a bunch of people who are on your team, who are working with you to support you. That's just it's just the sensation of that, of being tended to, of being cared for expertly, provided for, not in a way that is a burden to anyone, in a way that is a delight for those who get to participate in this, that this is what they've been wanting and waiting to do, and brings them a deep joy and satisfaction in performing this and in doing this. And yeah, just it's a sense of being accompanied, seen, intimately, known in a way that is difficult to describe, recognized, and yeah, taken care of. There's this feeling of receiving. And again, it's doing that at the energetic level. So I'm not like trying to imagine anything. I'm not doing a great ritual of these are the words I need to say, which was a lot of how I tried to sort of practice things previously. It's just, I'm just going to feel it. I'm absorbing it the same way that light is being absorbed right now, that the sunlight is being absorbed by my skin. I actually can't really even stop it, except that I need to give it permission because it respects my free will. So I give it permission to enter and I choose to receive it. And then it comes in and that's it. And that has created a sense of a stabilization, I would say. A stabilization and almost like the ability to see a little bit further, not into the future, to just sort of see through walls. I don't really know how to put it. To just sort of see through everything that's here, not in a way that is making it unreal and all a simulation or illusion or without meaning whatsoever. It's this and beyond this and more than this. Again, it's like the door closes and I know that this is not the last thing that comes through, and I know that every time that door closes, something else is going to open it, and this is the way it works. It is a perpetual closing and opening, and that is correct. That is right. That is sustainable and natural and safe, and to then just invite what is here to be fully here, to let the door close. And I don't need to force it open. I don't need to do anything. I stand here. I acknowledge. I experience. I feel appreciation arising for simply the being of what is. There doesn't need to be any further opinion or thought about it than that. And all I do is be present with what is, and I let the light come in, and I let it shine through me. And that doesn't necessarily mean anything that the mind might think it means. It doesn't mean specific actions. It doesn't mean specific feelings. It's just really being here, really present, really aware, really acknowledging, really accepting, really real. Nothing specific beyond that. Any potential is available beyond that. And it's always right. It's always what's right. It's always the best possible, the most respectful, the most honoring, the most sustainable. It's just that version of everything. So I hope that made sense. If it didn't, that's okay. I gotta go. Thank you for being here. Truly, I love you. I am going to try something right now before I go in, and that is just sharing this energy in a way that I haven't before. Not emotionally, energetically, just directly, just the pure thing. And it's not mine, per se. It's just what I am allowing through, what I am experiencing. And so it's just a transmitting of that, which I am receiving, and which you and all are capable of receiving, and are having also transmitted personally, in a personal and intimate way to you all the time. And if it feels good to you to try just receiving energetically, this is not a mental story. It doesn't require anything. It doesn't need to look like or feel like anything. It's more of a trusting. Sort of a sharing of the stream. That which is coming from the source. And it just moves through. It moves through all of us. And it is shared with true unconditional love. That is the awareness and the appreciation of your being exactly as it is. Always. Thank you. I love you. Take it easy.